and welcome to episode 48 of the Tyre Recycling Podcast. We are now here with the latest insights from the tyre recycling industry. Ewan, I know at the end of last episode, we talked about today's subject matter with Contec. What do you think the viewers will be getting from this interview today?
This interview with Krzysztof Wróblewski from Contec should shed a little light on just exactly what they are doing with the funding they've just received. They've just received €10 million in funding. So we thought we'd have a talk with Chris about what difference that was going to make to the company.
Absolutely. Contec, obviously we've developed a relationship with them since the first podcast interview we carried out. I think it was the middle of last year, maybe a bit later. And Contec are a collaborator on the Recycle Awards project, and they're definitely one of the pyrolysis operators that in Europe that are appearing to perform quite well and developing agreements and looking to increase their capacity and plants. So let's get into that interview and find out a bit more about all these subjects right now.
So Chris, you spoke at Tyre Tech about the research and the development that you've been doing at Contec. Can you run through a bit of that for us?
Yes, exactly. I was talking about what is important to make the RCB really a success story in the improving circularity in tire manufacturing ecosystem, because there are several points in my presentation which basically touches the different aspects of what pyrolysis company needs to have to really put good quality product on the market. And I've been talking about the operational excellence, the quality standards, but also things like feedstocks. And I'm really happy that the mechanical tire recycling community sees the opportunity in helping us, pyrolysis industry, to secure really good quality feedstock for the tire pyrolysis, to make sure that our recovered carbon black is very stable and consistent in quality. Of course, most of the pyrolysts do it themselves, having shredders on their own, and this is also the right practice. But we can see some changes in mechanical tire recycling community, that they will most probably switch from being just recyclers and feedstock suppliers for the open loop, let's say, applications, to the really circular closed loop tire to tire model, which is very close to our hearts here in Contec. So that's really great. Also, during the Tyre Tech Expo, it was the first time we publicly declared that we closed our fundraising round for €10 million to almost triple capacity of our plant in Szczecin, and we're extremely happy about that. To be honest, it's not yet official, but there will be the second part as well, and we are very happy to we'll be very happy to share the news in next few days. So please be prepared for that as well.
Okay. So the funding, what exactly will the funding allow you to do?
Even throughout last few years, we've been validating, stabilizing our technology, and right now, with our pilot plant in Szczecin, with 2 parallel lines, we really progressed quite well with the quality and the throughput. and the technology is there. It's scalable, it's validated, it's safe, and it's very important in this industry. And it's unique because we are the only ones, as you remember, in the world that are using molten salt as a heat transfer medium. So we have the experience, operational excellence, and the experience how to scale it up, and we're doing just that. And the most part of the fundraising will go to put two new lines in the Stettin plant, which is already ready for the expansion. I mean, all the infrastructure is there, the shredding capacity is there, backend capacity is there. I mean, the best in the class jet mill, best in the class pelletizer and dryer as well. So everything is there ready to process more tires and really pursue the circularity in the tire manufacturing, because we're very happy that our recovered carbon black is already in several applications, and we see enormous demand from our clients for the good quality recovered carbon black, and we are happy that we can deliver it. But what we need right now, and I think this is exactly what the whole industry needs, is scale and volume, because most of leading companies are in the stage where they have scaling up, building new plants, and this is exactly what the industry needs: more sustainable raw materials. Also, we are very happy that we're working on the standards. There's a huge progress in ASTM, the 36 committee, and we are part of this as well. And we are happy that new standards are coming, and also these methods that we develop together are allowing us to differentiate different grades of recovered carbon black, and this is already happening. So this is really, really good. And what makes me happy the most, I think there's a really strong willingness to collaboration between tire pyrolysis companies, but also between chemical recycling, which we are part of, with the mechanical recycling, and this collaboration, I think, is a must, because this is the only way to include everybody in the supply chain to make it fully circular.
Yeah, you need the tire industry in particular needs volume, and no one company is going to be able to produce that volume. Now, you mentioned feedstock. I get the sense that the tire manufacturers would be interested in, well, we know they're interested in consistency, but we heard recently from Regom and Michelin about tire sorting so that they could select their own tires. So, for example, Michelin will take Michelin tires, Continental will take Continental. Is that something that you are taking into account when you scale up?
To some extent, yes. Of course, we are not differentiating by the producers. Maybe there will be a time that it will be really necessary, but it's not the time. The technology has to deal with all the the end-of-life tires which are there on the market. But what is, from our perspective, important is that sorting of the tires using AI or vision methods or RFIDs, which are right now implemented in the tires with Michelin. There's a really great presentation about that. Will give us the knowledge what kind of tire is that, and from my perspective, from the pyrolysis operator perspective, the knowledge about how much silica is in the thread is important, or if it's low silica thread in the tire, or what type of carbon blacks were used in the tire, or it's made from mostly styrene butadiene rubber or natural rubber. Of course, you can judge on the type of the tire, but the more data we have, the more sorting we can do, and then we can have a more stable product at the end. Yeah, because it's very difficult when you have the ready recovered carbon black to judge what type of tires were it made from, and was it made from, and also it's very difficult to assess if there will be highly reinforcement virgin carbon blacks inside this recovered carbon black, let's say, because when you don't have control over feedstock, you can only control in-rubber performance after that. And in-rubber performance application assessments and analyses are very, very nice and very good, and gives you enormous information of about the recovered carbon black, but it also takes time. And it's, believe me, it's much easier to control the feedstock than to control every sample and make parts of rubber out of that, and then check the in-rubber performance about of this sample. So, of course, we will use part of our fundraising money to build our own in-application lab, because right now we are working with different laboratories on the outsourcing mode, but we'll build the competence for that, and also build the equipment and the in-house rubber application laboratory to learn more about our recovered carbon black in rubber performance, but also share this data to our clients and help them develop new applications and products.
So what excuse me, what sort of time scale have you got on developing the plant?
Oh, to be honest, it will be really quick, because we started before the fundraising. We started all the detailed engineering way before fundraising, and to be honest, we even ordered some of the equipment way before we had the investor on board. Why we did that? Because we have already a very strong investor. Warsaw Equity Group supports Contec from 4 years, and we have mutual trust. And they've seen that, and they believe that we'll be making it, and the progress throughout last years, and they believed in the project and still believe. They are major stakeholder in Contec, and basically we ordered part of the crucial elements and the, let's say, key components for the industrial plant, as we call it, the expanded plant in Szczecin. Even at the end of previous year. That's why we're aiming that we'll have the cold starts of the plant this year, actually, and we will be running the full capacity in 2024, which is extremely quick, I believe. But this is due proper planning and detailed engineering made earlier, and also cooperation with certain companies that help us to plan, engineer, procure, and construct the actual expanded plant. Of course, we'll need to stop production for a bit of time at the end of the year, because it's impossible and it will not be safe to weld a new installation during when we will run pyrolysis on the first 2 lines. But nevertheless, this plan is really ambitious, but it's real, and we want to be ones in this pyrolysis community that when we say we will do it, we will deliver.
Okay, so the when we spoke before, you talked about Sorry. When we spoke before, you talked about rolling out joint ventures or other projects. Have you made any progress in that field?
Yes, we've made quite a lot of interesting conversation with different players, and they're strictly confidential. I mean, 2 or 3 projects went to the really advanced stage, but there's also pros and cons on each of that particular joint venture. And we have certain strategy around that, and I think when the time will come, there will be also some announcements. But for now, I will tell you that our the most priority and the thing we are the most focused on is bringing up the volumes, and these volumes will be. The first part of the increase of the volumes will be expanding the Szczecin plant, and we are extremely focused on that task because this is what our clients want. This is what industry needs, and also this is what we as a Contec needs to make sure that let's say the final version of the technology where we implement all the experiences gathered throughout the years are there and are running very smoothly. Okay.
Is there anything else you want to discuss at this point?
To be honest, I think that it's very important. What I wanted to add here is it's very important that there is a strong incentive for collaboration in the community of mechanical tire recycling. Like I said, we had really nice conference organized by URIC in Brussels. It was like 2 weeks ago, yeah. And we also we are a member of URIC because we have our own shredding, so that's why we are also the part of mechanical tire recycling. And we are the member of URIC, and we've been talking with these companies for some time. And I think there's a change happening that everybody right now thinks about that we can collaborate and be the part of truly circular ecosystem and close the loop. And I think this is really good. We will publish about that also on our LinkedIn pages, so I highly encourage you to follow us on the LinkedIn, as well as the viewers and listeners of this podcast. So our LinkedIn community is growing, and we try to deliver good news about the entire recycling branch and circularity. So
okay, that's a great update from you, Chris, and I look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And once you're up and running, perhaps we might arrange a visit to see the plant in operation.
It would be really great. You're most invited, and everybody who wants to know more about the molten salt technology that we have developed and are operating are welcome to contact me or visit our website.
So thank you very much for your time, Chris. It's always interesting talking to you. And
thank you very much.
I look forward to hearing more from Contec in the future.
Okay, great. Let's be in touch. Yeah. And all the best for you, Evan.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We'll
thank you.
Speak again.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
So there you have it. That was our interview with Krzysztof Wróblewski from Contec, the Managing Director of Contec. Ewan, we have mentioned a few times the context of this interview. It came off the back of this 10 million funding investment that was announced at Tyre Tech. The press release mentioned lots of things about how the existing plants should be able to triple their capacity. They're talking about other plants in Europe What do you think this represents for Contec? And also maybe we can touch a little bit upon, the confidence that this agreement suggests from not just investors, but from Krzysztof in offtake agreements and potential for the market.
Chris announced the 10 million euro investment at Tyre Tech, and when we asked to talk about this, we were asked to speak to him about this. We wanted to know what he was going to be doing about it with this funding, and the focus is really on developing the plant that they've got, upscaling it, and putting in the in-house laboratories so that they can provide better data and provide that data quicker. It was interesting that he talked quite openly about collaborations with other people, other companies. This is becoming a common theme in the industry, because the tire manufacturers, the rubber industry, consumes huge volumes of carbon black, and even if the recovered carbon black people only get a few percent of that market, none of them are big enough at this point to individually create the feedstock or the recovered carbon black that the market needs. So they need to cooperate, and they need to have standards, and they need to work together. And Chris is quite open about this, and he always has been. So that is interesting, and that seems to be the focus of what we're doing. We did touch on the possibility of other projects, but as you hear in the interview, he would rather focus on upscaling the plant and getting the main plant in Poland up and running at full scale before he then focuses on rolling out the technology to the joint partners or second plants, third plants. One of the issues that he did talk about was feedstock, and he obviously doesn't want to give too much away, but increasingly, now that the tire manufacturers are involved, they want more control. They want to see more control of the process. So the days of simply chucking any old tires into one end of the reactor and taking out the recovered carbon black at the other, they're coming to an end, and we're going to see, I think, brand-specific processes, and possibly only using tire tread, or possibly only using sidewall material. It varies depending on the manufacturer and how they process the tires. There's even been talk of removing the butyl liners and processing those separately. So there's a lot of technology out there, and companies like Contec are at the forefront of making that happen.
Yeah, that's quite that's interesting. That would be definitely interesting development. We're talking about, different levels of specification, and we're talking about, adapting a process that would create almost, different levels and categories of recovered material according to brands. And also, that I'm interested to see how that works long term, how the pyrolysis operators will allow, or how it is sort of enacted that the manufacturers are allowed more control over the process. I'm sure we'll see quite some agreements will have to be drawn up and announced to give away that level of control, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing, there's been a few announcements recently.
Obviously, we got Michelin. Obviously, there is a lot out there, stuff like Michelin, Bridgestone. We've obviously seen stuff in the past with Continental too. And I'm sure there are already some others out there that are probably not announced as well.
Well, one of the things that cropped up at the Uric Tyre Recyclers or Uric Recyclers talk the other week was Regom, the French company who produce have an artificial intelligence tyre selector. So this equipment that Regom have produced, you feed the tyres in at one end of the machine, and it automatically assesses them for reuse, for retreading, for recycling, and identifies brands and sizes and can actually sort them. It's almost like they've brought the logistics, the factory logistics from the manufacturing side and reversed it and put it into the recycling sector.
Mm.
So Michelin have already engaged with Regom and taken on one of these machines. Aliapur have taken on two, and I have a suspicion that SDAB in Sweden will be taking them on as well. So there we have at least one manufacturer saying we want to use this equipment to pull our tyres out of the recycling process so that we've got our own tyres back. If Michelin, Bridgestone, Goodyear all follow suit, then it creates a feedstock of dedicated tyres. But it also creates a little bit of a problem because you've got the rest of the market that's made up of smaller brands, Chinese brands, who don't have that technology, who don't have the recycling capacities. And what happens to that material? We will find out in due course.
Yeah, we obviously we will. So that's how time works, I suppose. But I think the rate of, we've been talking about this subject, right, for quite a lot over the last 2 years, and I think we've seen quite a lot of development, not just in terms of agreements, but technology, sophistication. I suspect the rate of development will be quite quick on that, and I suspect we might get some answers pretty quickly. With
Absolutely.
the way.
Absolutely, it's now that for the last 20 odd years or longer, the tyre manufacturers weren't interested in the recycling. Now they're all about sustainability, and the sustainability initially didn't involve recycling. They paid lip service to it, but now they realise that, hey, if we use recycled materials, we can get those recycled materials back into our tyres. It's much more sustainable. And so that change in the mindset of the tyre manufacturers over the last 3 or 4 years has created a flood of interest in the market and a lot of technological development. So I do think now that the tyre manufacturers are interested, we're going to see an awful lot of development coming fast.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's it for episode 49 of the Tyre Recycling Podcast. We'll be back very shortly with episode 50. Thank you for watching.